At some point, the room gets quieter, not because people leave, but because their noise stops reaching you. You still sit at the same tables, still answer the same messages, still recognize every face, and yet something has already ended. You don't announce it. You don't explain it. You just notice that what once felt natural now feels thin, forced, like wearing a coat that no longer fits your shoulders. This is not arrogance. It's not superiority. It's distance forming without permission. And this is where nothing happens. No explosion, no argument. Just the quiet realization that you are no longer moving at the same internal speed. You begin to outgrow people long before you walk away from them. Outgrowing everyone isn't about becoming better. It's about becoming heavier. Heavier with consequence. Heavier with restraint. Heavier with awareness that no longer needs witnesses. While others search for relief, you begin to notice patterns. While others chase distraction, you begin to feel the cost of repetition. This is where the lone wolf is born, not in isolation, but in saturation. You don't leave because you hate people. You leave because staying requires shrinking, and shrinking slowly suffocates something internal. What follows are not lessons, they are observations, cold, measured, uncomfortable, because outgrowing everyone is not a victory, it's a narrowing. Truth 1. Awareness creates separation. Awareness does not connect you to others, it quietly removes you from them. As your internal awareness sharpens, tolerance drops. You start hearing what isn't said. You notice avoidance disguised as humor. You see repetition where others see routine. Your nervous system no longer accepts noise as neutral. It reads it as cost. You sit in conversations already knowing how they end. You nod without engagement. Your body stays still while your attention pulls inward. There is pressure behind the ribs, not anxiety but restraint. You are carrying more than you can set down in casual spaces. You want connection, but not at the price of self-dilution, so you remain present, yet internally withdrawn. Over time, this gap widens. You become less reactive, less explainable. Others feel it, but can't name it. Eventually, invitations slow, not from conflict, but mismatch. Distance forms without blame. Awareness is lonely because it cannot pretend, and once awareness takes root, tolerance begins to decay. You stop laughing at things that once carried you. You stop arguing altogether, because explaining yourself starts to feel heavier than being misunderstood. Truth 2. Responsibility rewires your identity. Responsibility does not add weight evenly, it reshapes the man who carries it. As responsibility accumulates, decision-making slows, impulse becomes expensive. You calculate outcomes others avoid thinking about. Your mind runs simulations while others chase relief. This creates a timing mismatch, internally and socially. You feel authority thinning, not externally, but inside. You speak less because words now have consequences. Your silence isn't emptiness, it's compression. Unspoken exhaustion becomes your baseline. Rest no longer restores, it only stabilizes. You crave simplicity, yet your life structure demands precision, so you carry complexity quietly. Over years, this rewiring isolates you. Others interpret your restraint as distance. You stop being invited into chaos, not because you judge, but because you won't participate. The gap becomes permanent. Responsibility isolates before it is ever acknowledged. And with responsibility comes a new intolerance for wasted motion. You start measuring time differently, not by pleasure, not by excitement, but by how much of yourself it drains to be there. Truth 3. You no longer bleed outward. Outgrowing others means you stop externalizing internal strain. As emotional control increases, expression decreases. You process internally instead of verbally. You resolve instead of vent. Others bond through shared release. You no longer need it. This removes a common social glue. Pressure builds without escape valves. You feel collapse without noise. There are no outbursts, only endurance. Your nervous system adapts to holding rather than releasing. This changes how others perceive your humanity. You are stable, but that stability costs warmth, so people feel you as distant, even when you're present. Over decades, this creates identity leakage. You are known for reliability, not intimacy. Others stop checking in emotionally. You become the anchor, not the companion. Anchors don't get invited to float. What you no longer express, others no longer approach. And silence, once internalized, becomes a permanent boundary. You stop explaining your fatigue. You stop naming your pressure, because you realize most people listen only long enough to respond. Truth 4. Patterns become unavoidable. Once you see patterns, repetition becomes unbearable. Pattern recognition increases with restraint and time. You notice cycles, conflict, apology, repetition. You predict outcomes before they occur. Your brain disengages where novelty once existed. This drains emotional investment. You feel boredom without contempt, disappointment without anger, a quiet withdrawal as attention retracts. Your presence becomes procedural. Interest fades without hostility. You want depth, but depth requires others to confront themselves. Most choose avoidance disguised as relief. Over time, your circle thins naturally, not through conflict, but through disinterest. You stop revisiting the same conversations. Familiarity loses its comfort. Only alignment remains tolerable. Repetition is invisible until it exhausts you, and exhaustion redraws your social map. You realize you've heard this story before. Same words, same outcome. Just a different face wearing the same pattern. Truth 5. The lone wolf is not a role. The lone wolf is not chosen. It is the residue of alignment. As internal standards solidify, compatibility narrows. You require less validation, fewer mirrors. Social engagement becomes selective, not defensive. You're no longer seeking belonging. You're maintaining coherence. This excludes most environments by default. Solitude feels clean, not empty. Silence regulates instead of disturbs. You feel pressure, but it is yours. No performance, no dilution. You miss people, but you do not miss the version of yourself you had to become around them. Years pass. Your circle becomes precise. Few, if any, walk beside you, but none drain you. This is not loneliness. It is containment. Alignment costs volume, and what remains is not emptiness, but quiet authority. You no longer ask who understands you. You ask who does not require you to fragment, and the answer is usually silence. Outgrowing everyone is not a declaration, it's a side effect. A side effect of pressure held, of pattern seen, of responsibility absorbed without applause. You do not become a lone wolf by rejecting the world. You become one by no longer bending yourself to fit rooms that demand less than you carry. And if you feel this distance growing, quietly, without anger, understand this: you are not ahead, you are not above, you are simply no longer moving sideways. and that path has fewer footsteps for a reason. Welcome to Elthoryn,